Good morning. My name is Jimmy Scott. I'm pastoral care minister here at Unity Phoenix, and pleasure to be with you this morning. Looking forward to this morning's service. Reverend Richard's in the back. He'll be out shortly.
And I'm Reverend Tina Brown. I'm the spiritual education minister, and so happy to be here. Welcome, everybody.
Our intention for this morning's service is that you experience a profound sense of the divine throughout the service in all of the activities of the service, the music, the meditation, and the message. And we can get that started by taking our mission statement together.
Yes, indeed, together. Unity of Phoenix is a loving spiritual community that welcomes all people and honors all paths to God. We are dedicated to transforming lives by inspiring and awakening individuals to discover God's Spirit within them.
So anyway, now's that time in our service for a time of prayer and meditation. So if you have your cell phones with you, I want to encourage you to place those either on silence or vibrate, and Tina will lead us in our meditation.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and God's grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place.
Surely the presence of the Lord is in this place. We open our hearts and our minds to join together in conscious communion and the divine spirit that is within us. We allow ourselves to just let go of all thought, any concerns or challenges we may be facing that we may have brought here with us today. And we release them and let go and allow the Spirit of God to be within us, actively working towards our highest good. So we allow the body temple to begin to relax with every breath that we take. We just become still, calm, and serene. And we call upon the Spirit of God within us, that Holy Spirit that resides within us, to reveal that which is ours to know today, to learn today, to be, to do today, and to heal those places in our lives that need to be healed. Trusting and knowing that it is done as we have believed, we enter into the silence of our being with a grateful heart. And as we gently begin to bring our awareness to this service, to this sanctuary, we remain centered and ever conscious of the Spirit within us. And we give thanks in the name and through the living power of the Christ presence. Thank you, God. And so it is, and so we let it be. And I invite you now to join in singing together our Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And leave us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, and a joy and a blessing to be with you all. Shout out to everybody who watches us and tunes in online. So there's this elderly couple walking through this mall, and they're holding hands. And this guy sees them and thinks, that is so adorable, and goes up to the old gentleman and says, you know, that is the most romantic thing, seeing you guys still holding hands. And the old guy said, you know, I've been holding hands with her out in public for 35 years. I always hold her hand when we're out together. I have to. If I let go, she goes shopping. Okay. All right. That was very generous of you to clap for. That's a horrible joke. But it fits in with the message, and today's message is letting go of holding on. How many people here have ever held on to some resentment or anger you had towards someone and you had a hard time letting it go? Anybody ever have that? Anybody here ever make a big mistake and you did something you deeply regret and you beat yourself up a lot about it and you had a hard time releasing that regret? Anybody? Anybody have clothes in your house that you don't wear at all anymore? Or exercise equipment that you don't use? You know, a velvet painting of Elvis or old journals from 2 decades ago still cluttering up your house that you don't need, and you still have a hard time with the thought of getting it away? Anybody? You know, I am absolutely convinced that one of the major causes of our frustration and lack of inner peace and our lack of happiness, and what the thing that limits our experience of abundance is the habit of always holding on. You know, holding on is something that we interestingly promote in our culture. Holding on seems strong, letting go seems weak. You know, holding on seems good, and letting go seems really soft. You know, many of us are very good at holding on. We're masters. We got our PhDs in holding on. It's so prevalent and promoted. We're almost trained and conditioned in many ways to hold on. In fact, even if you look through the language, there's so much language that promotes holding on. You know, there's so many things. Let me just give you some of the phrases that people use. Like, you say, we can hold on and we can hold off. We can hold out, we can hold in, we can hold up, we can hold down, we can hold still, we can hold tight, we can hold back, and we can hold over. We can hold the line, hold your ground, hold your fire, hold hostage, hold a meeting, hold your court, and if you get lucky, you can end up holding all the cards. You can hold something against someone. You can hold their feet to the fire. You can hold their attention. And if they hold it together and hold their head high, you might hold them in high regard. And somebody's probably thinking, when is he going to stop this silly little shtick about holding on? And I just say, hold your breath. Don't hold your breath. Because you can hold the fort and hold the key and hold the phone and hold your tongue and hold your horses. Some people can even hold their liquor. You can take hold, you can catch hold, you can even be put on hold. And if you hold true and hold strong, you can hold your own. In fact, you'll end up holding everything. And that's that's our culture. We like to hold on. Anybody ever see the TV show Hoarders? Any of you see that? That is holding on gone wild. And we laugh at those people because they got like rooms of Tupperware and bags and all kinds of stuff. But have you looked in one of your drawers or closets or garage recently? It is amazing as a culture how we hold on. But here's the challenging part, though, is when we hold on to things that are not good for us. It is when we practice holding on to grudges, holding on to the hurts of the past, holding on to the disappointments. Sometimes we hold on to old dreams that we need to let go. We hold on to jobs that aren't working, to relationships that aren't working. We hold on to emotional baggage. We hold on to negative thoughts. We hold on to limiting beliefs. And the question is, why do we hold on to these things when they're not good for us? And a part of the reason is, I think psychologically, we have this belief that holding on will make us safe. Holding on is a secure thing to do. We think at some level that holding on will make our lives better. That holding on is the smart and strong and wise and tough thing to do. But sometimes I will tell you, in some instances, holding on actually hurts us. That holding on actually holds us back from living life as freely and fully as we can live it. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 19. Remember the story of Lot with Sodom and Gomorrah being burnt up, and they were warned that they could be saved. They had to leave, and the condition was, do not look back. Go through the plain, and don't even stay in the plain, but go up into the mountain. Go to a higher place. That's great advice. Don't look back. Keep moving forward and go to a higher place. And what does Lot's wife do as they're running out? She looks back and becomes a pillar of salt. That is no coincidence that wonderful symbolism of a pillar of salt was used. A pillar is just stuck there. It is not moving or going anywhere. It is solid and stuck right where it is. And salt is a preservative. So the symbolism there is when you look back, when you hold on and are attached to the past and are stuck there, whether it's regret or resentment or holding on to old stuff, you are stuck in the past. You can't move forward, and you are preserving the pain and the negativity and the limitation of those experiences. One of my favorite quotes is from a guy named Havelock Ellis. And here's the quote. He says, "All the art of living lies in the fine mingling between holding on and letting go." Holding on is not a bad thing in and of itself at all. But sometimes we end up holding on to things that hurt us and letting go of our faith and the good things that we really should be keeping. And trying to find that balance of holding on and letting go is an important aspect in our lives. And I'll tell you, letting go is one I think that we think is soft and weak. You're settling and giving up. But it's more powerful than we realize. Think about it this way. When we think about happiness and that we want to make our lives happy, we tend to think it's an addition issue. My life will be happy if I add more stuff, if I add more. But I would tell you that happiness is an issue of subtraction. It is about letting go of the things that you are thinking that are keeping you from happiness. I want you to think about what thought, what fear, or what limiting belief do you believe right now is keeping you from being happy? What's stopping you from being happy? And I would suggest that if you let go of that thought, fear, or belief, it'll open your life to greater peace. Somehow the idea of letting go seems so weak, And yet, I will tell you, it is probably one of the most powerful and important of all spiritual practices. The extent to which you let go really determines the extent to how much peace you feel. The extent to which you let go is the extent of how free you are from the past and how free you are to move forward. The extent to which you let go opens you to greater possibilities and ideas and opportunities and blessings. David Hawkins wrote a book. In fact, anybody do the White Stone ceremony? Some people did the White Stone ceremony. My word for the year is letting go. And one thing I've realized about letting go is that it is a daily and regular practice. We are always picking up some hurt, some upset. And so it's not just like a one-time thing. Letting go is a continuous practice to free us, to open us, and to help us feel the presence of God and the presence of joy and peace in our lives. So this morning, I want to explore some ideas because I think we need to learn how to let go. We need to practice letting go. We know how to hold on, but it takes work to learn how to let go. And I'll tell you, it is one of the most powerful and freeing of all spiritual practices. So there's this story about this guy and this rope, and he's holding on tightly to this rope. And, he's holding on. And he's thinking, if he falls, if he lets go, he'll fall and everything will be ruined. And so this little angel, she comes up to him and says, hey, there's a better way than just holding on. And he says, you don't have to hold on. He said, yeah, I'm holding on, but it's what I've always done. And all my family, everybody I know holds on. And she said, well, if you let go, that you will experience peace and there's so much of a better life. He said, no, I can't risk letting go. And she says, okay, would you let one finger go? And he says, okay. So he lets go a finger and he feels a little bit of peace. And so this conversation goes, and he said, you could have more than peace, but life will open up. And would you be willing to let go of a second and a third? So he gets all the way down to one. And she says, will you let go of the one? Just totally let go? He said, oh, that's too scary. That's too scary. And she says, well, I've been good to you so far. Would you go all this way? And he lets go, and you know what happens? Nothing. He was always standing on the ground. And so, and here's the point of it. Wow, that's generous, man. But thank you. And here's the point. Paul Tillich, the 1940s theologian, once said that God is the ground of your being. And just like that man standing on the ground, guess what? That at every moment of your life, God is the ground of your being. I will guarantee you, if you totally let go right now, your life will not fall apart. If you totally let go right now, you will be safe in the groundedness of God. You will be provided, you will be supported, and your letting go will actually open up more of that support and that peace. I love the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I love that God, you can trust that God is there for you, that even if you let go, you shall not want. That if you let go, you'll be provided for. You'll be loved. There are resources. You will be okay if you let go. In fact, if you let go, you'll actually be better than you are currently in terms of holding on, like the guy in that story. And I love the second, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And then the next line, it is, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. And one thing is, when you're secure that God is providing for you, guess what? You can lie down in the grass. You can be near the still waters. You don't have to freak out and keep working hard and forcing things. You can actually let go. That's what Proverbs is saying. In Proverbs 3, verse 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Know that the Lord is your shepherd. You shall trust in the Lord. And lean not to your own understanding. Don't keep fighting and holding on. But submit yourself to God. Let go and surrender to God, and he will make straight your paths. That there's a support for you there when you are willing to let go. So this summer, one of my goals was to learn how to swim. It was a big deal for me. I've never been able to swim. I'm terrified of water. I like water. I just don't like being in it. And the words swimming and sinking are synonyms for me. And it's a kind of a big deal. First, not being able to use my legs is a big deal. And then I have a deep and serious fear of water. And it comes from, I was born in the Caribbean, an island surrounded by water. But unfortunately, when my family was on the beach when I was 4 years old, this girl had drowned, and they brought her body up to this, and there's all kind of panic and fear. And we were, as kids, shooed away, and I could feel that panic and fearful energy, and my association was the water is going to take you down. I mean, it was scary. And so moving to Canada, over the years, I went to schools, grade schools, elementary schools, that had pools. So as a part of PE, you had to go take swimming lessons. I probably had maybe 7 or 8 years of swimming lessons, and I never passed beginners. So at 18, I'm thinking, I need to do something about this. I was a captain of my high school basketball team, a high jump champion, volleyball player. I mean, I'm a good athlete. Let me go to swim. And in this class at 18, there were 2 other people in the beginners class, Inez, who was 9, and Peter, who was 8. They see me, and their first thing was, "Are you the lifeguard?" It's like, you. And we don't need to get into the whole story, but only 2 out of the 3 of us passed. So when I took on this challenge to learn how to swim this summer, it was a big deal, a big deal. 2 lifeguards it required, not on the same day, but they needed patience. One needed a day off from me, because I was like, "Come on, dude, come close, be there." And so I'm practicing treading, because one of my goals, I want to tread for 5 minutes, and I want to stay on the water and do back and forth a number of times, turning around and stuff. And so anyway, I'm treading, and I'm just sinking. I'm treading, and I'm working hard. I'm in good shape. I am just doing back and forth, doing it for 5 minutes. I mean, with the life vest on. But still, I had to practice and get strong. And so anyway, so the couple of times we would take it off, and they'd be right there, and I'd say, "Be careful." I'd do it, and I'd start sinking. And then, I start sinking, and, and once or twice they wouldn't get there, they got there just in time. And I'm panicking, and, one of them said to me, "The water is supporting you." And I said, "Yeah, I know it's supporting me. That's why I'm sinking." And so after a while, I really had to realize I am physically just not going anywhere. So I need to do some spiritual work here. And so I started doing some meditation and realizing I am supported by God. That I am supported by God. I'm supported by the water. I'm supported by the lifeguard. I'm supported by the entire universe. And interestingly, after all that time of working so hard, I started doing the same mechanics, but instead of doing it like this, I did it like this. And it's interesting. Same person, same motions, same water, different mindset of trusting and letting go. Totally different result. My willingness to let go and trust had a guy who can't even use his legs being able to actually tread water and swim on my back, and I can go back and forth on my back. It ain't pretty, but I can do it. And the point is that the key about letting go is trusting that God is the ground of your being. Trusting that the water will support you, that life will support you, that even if you let go fully, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. So whatever it is that you're struggling with your life, would you be willing to trust God and just let go? A Buddhist saying says, let go a little and you get a little peace. Let go a lot and you get a lot of peace. My question is, how much peace do you want? Or the other question is, how much are you willing to let go and trust God? So the first thing about learning of letting go, of holding on, is to trust and let go. Trust that God is there for you. Second one, to me, is about letting go is an act of love. In her book, Catherine Ponder, the book is called The Prospering Power of Love. She says that letting go is one of the most powerful acts of love. That emotional release is the highest form of love. Let me give you an example. Anybody got like a child or a spouse or a brother or family member who's really not doing that great in their life, and you know what they should do or not do and how their life should go? Anybody have a little thing alike? So you know how it should be. And when you pray that thing that you think, you know that you're right about to make their life better is exactly what should be done. Anybody got one of those? Well, here's the thing. As loving as that is, and as that the intention of that is that is actually limiting and causing restriction and resistance in you and in them. That one of the most loving things you can do is to release them to God and to their highest good. In whatever form and shape it looks like, just pray that whatever will happen to them will be for their highest and best, for their souls, and let God's will be done and not my will be done. Catherine Ponder tells a story about a couple, and the guy is going through a health issue, and he is resistant and doesn't want to do the stuff, and the wife is forcing him to do it, and there's all kinds of resistance, and she's saying, you should do this, and this is how it should go. And then she reads Catherine Ponder's book, and then she realizes, she starts a prayer, and she starts releasing her husband. Releasing him, that if it's time for him to move on, if it's his soul to go on, whatever it is, she releases him and says, whatever's for his best, in whatever form, let that be done. And she lovingly releases him. And you know what? Not only does she feel peace, not only did he start doing things with a sense of joy, he actually got healed and everything was okay. Is there someone in your life that you are holding that they should be this way or that? The most powerful thing you can do and the most loving thing is to release them to their highest good. To release them to whatever God's will for their best and happiness and their soul's journey is. Another aspect of knowing that love is about letting go is that if you are struggling forgiving yourself, if you are struggling forgiving someone, ask yourself this question. Do I love myself enough to stop punishing myself by holding on to this resentment and this regret? Do I love myself enough to forgive? Do I love myself enough to be willing to let go of the past, to let go of the pain? Do I love myself enough to free myself to live a more joyful and happy life? See, that's a powerful thing. Letting go is an act of love. Releasing someone to their highest good and letting go of the resentment for yourself and for others. And I guarantee you that love will bring a sense of healing and wholeness into your life. Final thing I want to talk about is Eckhart Tolle says something interesting. He says, anytime we're holding on, that at some level for us, there's a payoff. If you're holding on to blame somebody or having resentment even against yourself, that there is some level of payoff. That is, we either don't want to face the reality, so we mask it by getting mad at someone, or that we use it as an identity. You know, look what so-and-so did to me when I was a kid. That's why I am. It becomes an identity or an excuse, and it's a nice, convenient way to sometimes avoid responsibility by holding on to it. You know, and to stop ourselves from having levels of goodness and success, which sometimes we're scared of. So, you know, the excuse and the holding on to it can sometimes be a nice buffer for that. Anybody ever see the movie The Princess Bride? Anybody ever see The Princess Bride? You remember Inigo Montoya? You remember that guy? And a six-fingered man killed his father when he was a little boy, and he spent the next 20 years becoming the best swordsman that he could so that he could get revenge on this six-fingered man. 20 years, became the best swordsman. Finally, after 20 years, he gets his opportunity and he does the deed. And then the hero in the show, Wesley, says to Inigo, he said, so what are you going to do now? And here's what his response was. He said, you know, I've been in the revenge business for so long, now that it's over, I don't know what to do with the rest of my life. And while that sounds silly or sounds funny, the truth is when we've been so conditioned in believing that no one will love me, or life is unfair, you know, or my parents did it, it's their fault, sometimes when the story has been there so long, we don't know what to do without it. You know, I truly believe that holding on to resentment or any of these things are holding energy. And when we let go, when we forgive and release, guess what? That energy is liberated. The question is, what would you do with that liberated energy? So I want you to think right now. Think of the major concerns you think are holding you back from happiness right now, the things that you're holding on to the most. And suppose they were gone right now. Suppose every situation were resolved. What would you do with your new energy? What would you do with those thoughts that were taking up so much time? What would you like to feel and experience and create and enjoy that you aren't currently doing it? The question is, one of the things about letting go is opening a space for a better life than you've ever had. And the question is, are you willing to open a space for a life that's better than you've ever had before? Are you willing to let it go and accept responsibility to use this new energy to create something wonderful and marvelous for your life? You know, there's a true story about Michelangelo, and somebody came up to Michelangelo, and you know his famous sculpture, David? And they asked him about it, and he said, well, the way it was, I had this big slab of marble, and I could just see David. And the way I did this, he said, I saw David, and then I just chipped away of everything that wasn't David. And here's the thing. You're given a slab of marble called life. And you have the opportunity to see your David, to see the life that you want. And then the rest of the work is chipping away and letting go of everything that is not your David. Chipping away and letting go of everything that is not in alignment with the life that you want to live. I believe that life is calling us every day to ask us the question, what are you holding on to that you know it's time for you to let go? One assignment for this week, 3 times a day, I want you to ask yourself this question. What am I holding on to that it's time for me to let go? And I guarantee you, if you do that every day and consistently practice letting go and letting go, you will open yourself to a level of peace. You will open your life to a level of love, and you'll open yourself to many greater blessings than you will ever experience. And that, you know, is how we change our lives. The question is, are you willing to practice letting go of holding on? God bless you all. So, you know, when I spoke last week in the wheelchair, I said it might be a couple of weeks before I got healed. Well, amazingly, somehow I let go of that fear of doing that, and I healed quicker. So I'm just so thrilled about that. Isn't that a cool thing? Cool. But I would just like to say one thing, and I would just like to thank my amazing staff. I mean, they have been so loving, so supportive, coming to my house for meetings, moving meetings to phone. We've been texting, emailing. They have been so supportive. You know, Betty, the ministers have been fabulous. Art, the director of operations, everybody's been terrific. So I thank them so much. Lisa Lombard, our board president, she's been over the top sweet and supportive, the entire board. So I just want to say thank you, because that is a very meaningful and powerful thing to feel that level of love and support.
I believe we may need some help with the prayer for protection, our preschool class.
I do believe we would do that. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. All right.
On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
All right. Have a great week, everyone.